Welcome to Driving.ca. I'm Jay Canna, and first off, Volkswagen is not a luxury brand, but with their all-new Tiguan, they might just change their mind. In this video, with the all-new third generation 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, we'll go through the highlights of what's new. We'll talk about how it drives, standard features, and how it stacks up against the competition. And is it actually a luxury vehicle, or is it just playing the part? Starting off under the hood, there's a little more power here for the third generation, and smartly there's a little less weight, so the power to weight ratio has been improved. For 2025, we have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 201 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, and that is a 17 horsepower increase compared to the 2024 model. 8-speed automatic and all-wheel drive is standard fare. Now, interestingly, later on in 2025, as a 2026 model year vehicle, the top trim Highline gets a higher output engine, and that will be a total of 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. So, a little peculiar that they didn't offer that at the same time when they released this all-new third generation, but that's just what they're doing. So, as of late 2025, if you want the top trim Highline, you'll be getting that higher output engine, with the other 3 trims getting the engine I just spoke of. On the fuel consumption side, it is marginally better than we had for 2024. So 2025 sees a combined liters per 100 kilometers of 9.3, whereas 2024 had 9.4. Another increase for 2025 features a higher towing capacity. Here we have up to 1,800 pounds when equipped properly. Let's jump into the driving section for the all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, and there are so many noticeable differences that make the Tiguan shine so bright. So again, with the increase in power and decrease in weight by 170 pounds specifically, the driving dynamics here are excellent. It's one thing to show higher power figures, it's another thing to feel them, and that's exactly what we have here in the all-new Tiguan. It feels stronger, it's more athletic, the instant acceleration is absolutely noticeable. Accelerating up to highway speeds is noticeably quicker, and as far as getting that little extra oomph of acceleration and speed when you're trying to elude a collision or doing an evasive maneuver, the Tiguan delivers so nicely here. And there's a little bit of turbo lag, and that's the case for pretty much any compact crossover with the turbo engine, but again, it's minimal, you barely feel it. Volkswagen's done an excellent job of engineering this engine to be performance-based, so yes, it's good at higher speeds, but it's still tame and manageable in urban situations, and the steering feel is fairly light, and again, being an urban-based vehicle, going into parking lots and tighter spaces, you don't want to be feeling like you're struggling or fighting with the steering wheel. Here, it's a nice light feel. There's a little bit of firmness to it, but it is more light than anything else. And if you do prefer something on the firmer side, flip it into sport mode, and then you'll get a little bit of that sporty feel here. At highway speeds, the Tiguan is exceptionally quiet for a non-luxury vehicle, and that kind of suits the whole theme of this review, where the Tiguan is practically a luxury vehicle sitting in the mainstream class. One thing I'm not a big fan of is the brake pedal. It's a little too stiff for my liking, so when you are doing your research, make sure you push that brake pedal all the way down and get a feel for it. Moving on to the inside, let's start with the rear and go forward. So cargo space comes in at 750 liters with those rear seats up, and 1,668 liters with the rear seats down. There is a physical spare tire, and thankfully, there's no more option for a third row of seats here. It was so small and cramped, and I'm happy that Volkswagen has just wiped it out. So if you do want something that does have 3 rows, look upward toward the Atlas. Rear seat space is quite generous. I can easily fit behind myself with plenty of comfort, plenty of headspace, and plenty of leg space. So for longer trips and you have people in those rear seats, at least the outboard seats, they'll be well taken care of and extremely comfortable with plenty of space. Speaking of seats, and moving up front for that matter, the front seats are extremely comfortable. Now, I'm in the top trim Highline R-Line, So we have the quilted leather here, and cloth seats come on lower trims. But after a week's worth of driving, I have had exactly zero driver fatigue, no fidgeting trying to find my ideal seating position. Again, this is what you'd expect out of a luxury vehicle. And yes, Volkswagen has a luxury division, being Audi, but having this much comfort in a mainstream offering is exceptional. Heated front seats do come standard, and on the top trim Highline R-Line, the outboard rear seats are heated, and the front seats are both ventilated and massaging, so that's something that you rarely see in this class. And the massaging function is actually pretty good. The Tiguan features an all-new infotainment system. Standard size is 12.9 inches. Go to the top trim, that goes all the way up to 15. I think they should have just kept 15 all around because it's such a small difference between 12.9 and 15. The system is noticeably faster than the outgoing model, and it's well laid out. Everything is easy to get to. The screen is highly responsive. The drawback is that your climate controls are still all baked into the screen. Yes, they're easy to use, and yes, you have your auto setting, but for activating your heated seats, your optional ventilated seats, changing the direction of the air, you still have to dig through the bottom part of that infotainment screen. Yes, I understand the aesthetic that Volkswagen's going for, but on the practicality side, I would have really liked to have seen some physical buttons. And they have the physical buttons, they've put them in the steering wheel, and I think that's a huge win as far as ease of use goes, and there's not any haptic buttons or sliders, so functionality on the steering wheel is great. On the infotainment system, overall, it scores high marks, except for, again, that climate control being stuck in the bottom of the screen. With the gear selector now being column mounted, there's plenty of space here. So you have your cup holders up front, a thin panel to the right, an adjustable armrest with deep and long storage in there as well. So Volkswagen's done really well as far as the usability and the practicality here goes. Looking at the instrument cluster, it's nice and clean and minimal, and it's easy to see, and it's easy to pull all of your information out of. And yes, you can get a couple of different options as to how you configure it, but I'm happy that it's not overcrowded and it's not massive. I think the modest size of the instrument cluster nicely balances out the large size for the infotainment system, and it's a nice clean look. And again, that goes up to the luxury side of things, where you tend to have the minimalism side, and everything is so elegantly and very intentionally designed and laid out. And I gotta say, this is one of the best cabins in class for a compact crossover. Opt for the Highline and you get open pore walnut trim separating the upper and lower dash panels, and that's a really nice move. And you'll also get an optional 12-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. The previous generation Tiguan had a volume slider as opposed to a volume knob, and Volkswagen heard the complaints, and not only did they fix it, they've gone full tilt 3-in-1 on it. So in the center console here is a large dial, and you twist it left and right, and that adjusts your volume. If you push it down, that's how you change your drive modes. And in addition to that, if you swipe it, it changes from drive mode configurator to atmosphere configurator, and that's such a smart use of engineering. And all the atmosphere configurator is it changes the ambient light themes, and it changes the setup for your audio, whether it's high treble, high bass, just different types of settings for it. But I'm so happy there's a physical volume knob here, and it doesn't bother me that it's not in the predictable place being on a bottom corner of the infotainment screen. I much prefer having a smartly engineered, multi-function, very easy to use volume dial, drive mode controller, and atmosphere selector all built in one here. It is probably one of my favorite things of the all-new Tiguan. Let's go through some of the standard features, and they include wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, wireless charging, remote start, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, LED lights, and thankfully for all passengers out there up front, a height adjustable passenger seat. Moving on to standard safety, highlights include automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and safe exit warning. Since I'm driving the Highline R-Line trim, I'll go through some of the highlights that you get if you opt for that. You get 20-inch wheels, a head-up display, a 360-degree camera, you have a 12-speaker Harman Kardon audio system, a 15-inch infotainment screen, again, as opposed to the 12.9, and the quilted leather seats that are both ventilated and massaging. So a pretty solid list of upgrades if you do opt for the top trim. On the pricing side of things, the 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan starts at $36,495 and goes all the way up to $47,495. And it covers 4 trims. So you get the Comfort line, the Trend line with Black package, and what we have here, the Highline R-Line. Going over a few things that I think the Tiguan is missing is, first up, it's gasoline only. There's no hybrid, there's no plug-in hybrid. And there'll probably be some kind of hybrid version in a couple of years, but it's not here now. The next one is the 2026 model of the Tiguan, where you have to get that higher output engine if you want the top trim, non-negotiable. So I think taking away that choice from consumers isn't the best option or best route to go down, but it's where we are. And again, if you want that top trim Highline, you got to get the higher output engine. Lastly, going back to the climate control system, it's something that people use almost every single time they're in the vehicle, and having it be fully digital, not really the best way to go about it. Again, it's easy-ish to use, but it'd be much easier with physical buttons. Contrasting that, as we get wrapped up, the summary of positive notes here is that it drives exceptionally well, probably best in class. This interior is absolutely best in class because it's pretty much luxury, if not encroaching into luxury. Everything is so smartly laid out. It's a clean design, modern technology, lots of open space, and just that premium upscale feel. And wrapping up the positives, the exterior design of the all-new Tiguan is much softer and smoother compared to the old boxy shape, and it has that Volkswagen ID4 look to it. And matching the inside, it's more of that premium feel. And opt for the top trim Highline, and you get those fancy light bars where the front and rear logos light up. Overall, Volkswagen's done an excellent job at upping their game and offering consumers something exceptional and special. And it might be a turning point for Volkswagen overall in this class, because for years and years and years it was, oh yeah, there's a Tiguan and it's kind of sort of okay. But now with this all new generation, I think people will take notice. The mainstream compact crossover market is very crowded, but the key competitors here I see are Mazda, because Mazda's always sat in that not luxury, not mainstream, it's premium, it's upscale. And for years they were the only ones, but this Tiguan really comes into play as far as matching Mazda, if not beating them, on the premium and upscale feel here. And the more popular Honda CR-Vs and Toyota RAV4s are also in the mix. That's going to wrap it up for the 2025 all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. Let us know if you have any questions on what you've seen. We're happy to get you answers as soon as possible, and we're always happy to engage in respectful conversation online. For more news, reviews, and information you can use on compact crossovers, visit our website, which is Driving.ca, and we encourage you to engage with us on our social media platforms. For Driving.ca, I'm Jay Canna.